Bluejay, Bluejay started off as a bit of a side project, right?
Right.
And the way it kind of worked was that me and Rohan were very curious to see, um, we liked voice agents. And in fact, I was at the time, I was I was not feeling very fulfilled by the work that I was doing in the corporate job,
Yeah.
right, at Microsoft. And one outlet that I use to like keep myself technically sharp, right, and like exercise my skills after my master's is, ironically enough, starting a social media account. So like on
Oh,
my on yeah on my Instagram and my TikTok, I run a machine learning account called Faraz.ml, and like
nice.
I just
Is it
posted
doing
about
well?
whatever interest. No, it's
It will. It will.
I had like one video that like reached over 1 million views,
That's not
and
bad.
like
Yeah.
yeah, it basically I stopped posting on it as soon as we got into Y Combinator, just because we had like no more time,
Yeah.
and I had started in like January,
Yeah.
so yeah, it has like 1,000 followers. So
Yeah. Not
no,
bad.
no, no,
But
but it did its job in the sense that like I one of the things that I happened to post about was about voice agents and about like the voice agent pipeline, like LLMs, SGTTTS, right, bad, and that piqued Rohan's interest. He's like, oh, I didn't know you were also thinking about voice agents. Like, why don't we start doing stuff with voice agents? So we started walking around. We're like, okay, like how do we use these voice agents? Like, what kinds of problems can we solve with voice agents? And the most accessible market to us was restaurants, right? Because going to restaurants all the time, right? Like consistently available. And so what we did was I walked down my Ave. I was living on Third Ave in New York City in Manhattan, and I just talked to like 30, 40 restaurants. I just went door to door, right? Like if someone says no, I just move on. Someone says yes, I take their number and I move on, right? And I tried to just ask them what their problems were. Like, hey, like, like what's the issue here? Like, what's the problem, right? And people would give me like a lot of like, they would give me no responses, give me like BS responses, give me way too
yeah.
detailed responses. But what was consistent was the fact that everyone was always on the phone, right? They were always like, oh, 1 second, hold up, and they would take an order, right?
Right.
So like I was like, okay, interesting. Like, they seem to be on the phone a lot. I wonder how much time we could free up if they were not on their phone and instead like fully engaged in their customer experience.
Yeah.
So that's where we
Yeah.
started off. We started off by building voice agents for restaurants.
So just to sort of double click on the problem at this point a little bit more, why do you think like in the age of like DoorDash and like these sort of online ordering providers, are still calling restaurants? And is this a problem that is, I know this is not the problem you ended up solving, but like, did
Yeah.
you at that point feel like this is a problem that is like big enough to go into?
So it definitely is a concern, right? Where you have like providers that are, like DoorDash and Grubhub and these types of companies that essentially take the calling in and ordering like phenomena and like they kind of deprecate it, right? In
Yeah.
favor of like DoorDash pickup or like straight to home delivery. But um, I challenge you to think of the last time that you door dashed your favorite from your favorite Thai place that was 2 blocks down the street. Like I think in the end we're
Yeah.
creatures of habit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I've been calling my local Thai spot and my local like wings spot since I was in like high school, since I was in 10th grade, and I will
Yeah.
continue to keep on calling these people. So I think there's like certain types of restaurants that will just keep on just thriving
Yeah.
on phones, and we saw that
Yeah.
with a couple of restaurants that Rohan talked to and a couple of restaurants that I were talking to as well. They tend to be restaurants that are smaller, that are like more like mom and pop, that their phone is like really like their main point of contact with their
Right.
customers.
Right. And I guess like hyper local, like you mentioned, like neighborhood type place, like why would I want a DoorDash to come and like do maybe they just deliver. So makes sense.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
like
so
there's
you
like a slight price markup, right? Like like
right.
with delivery and with even with pickup, there's a markup. So
Yeah.
for those who are like on their way home, it's actually like more like it's cheaper for them, right? To go and
Yeah.
just call in and pick it up. So yeah,
Right.
I don't think the medium is going to disappear anytime soon. But I will say, like from our like short foray into this world of building the voice agents for restaurants, like we sense that it was shrinking, right? Like the
Right.
phone industry for restaurants is slowly shrinking because people are like opting into communicating less to receive their meals nowadays, which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people are communicating less in general.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, yeah. But interesting. So you started as a voice agent for restaurants for taking orders, essentially. And how did
Mhm.
that go?
So, um, well, obviously we're not doing that anymore, but
Right.
it's so what ended up happening is this, right? So we got a couple of restaurants interested, and we started out building demos for these people, or not demos. We finished the demo stage, but we started out building like actual products for these people, like pilots. And like the idea is that they would go and use our restaurant to take in orders, right? One of the classic tasks that we got from a couple of the restaurants that were interested was, hey, like transcribe my or like basically like uh, make sure that the voice agent can handle my entire menu, right?
Yeah.
In terms of like taking orders, right? There's like three big capabilities that a voice agent for restaurants should be able to do. It's like taking orders, answering questions about the restaurant, like general FAQ questions about like store hours and whatever, and then finally placing reservations, right? So the
Right.
orders was like there's a massive part of it, right? And like we found that like a restaurant has on average like 30 to 40 menu items, right? That you can go like with substitutions, kind of create an order. But you know calling in and basically adding them all to your voice agents like system prompters to its knowledge base like somewhere, right? As you have a larger and larger menu size, or as you add more and more substitutions, the likelihood that your bot hallucinates gets higher and higher, right?
Yeah.
Or just the
Yeah.
likelihood that your bot not even just hallucinates but like just says something that's like not according to the flow that you would expect, right? um, so there's like issues across the stack, right? So one thing that we did was, in order to make sure that we delivered a high quality product to our end restaurant customers or would be customers, was to test the rig that we had created, right? This voice agent pipeline that we had created. And the way that we would do that is that Rohan and I would go and pick up the phone and act like we were going to order, a menu item off of this restaurant. So, for example, if like we're ordering for a salad place, right, we would say, "Hey, can I have like like the salad with like XYZ like toppings and like this kind of substitution and that kind of thing," right? And we would test the voice agent's capability to actually place the order. So we would monitor like, hey, like first of all, is like the order being transcribed correctly? Is it being sent to like, this like is it being sent to our database correctly? Like is it integrating with our Square POS correctly, right? And actually registering as an order. So like there's a bunch of like small things that we need to make sure of, right? But if you were to take about like if you were to like do some like time analysis on this, right? It's like 3 to 5 minutes to actually place the order and get substitutions and like talk about like
Yeah.
estimated delivery time and whatever, or pickup time, and then on top of that another 2 to 3 minutes to evaluate whether the call went well after the call ended, i.e. like was the order placed, did I get to this point in the system, was the POS API call like called, all these kinds of things, right? So like we're looking at around like like 6 to 8 minutes per call end to end plus evaluation to make sure that one like combination of like order plus substitution worked, right? And like,
Right.
30 to 40 menu items plus, like maybe multiply that by a couple times for substitutions. And all of a sudden you have like hundreds of different combinations, right? That, that just for a restaurant, like a simple restaurant voice agent, it should be able to cover, right?
Yeah.
So like we went through this process of calling, and trying out every single combination, every single restaurant menu order, and we're like, damn, this sucks. Like, we've literally, yes, we've exhaustively now tested, whether every single menu item on it that our voice agent can handle every single menu item. But the the issue here is that if we were to make one change to our system prompt, right, we have no guarantee that it's going to impact anything else in the entire process, right? So
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's going to take days to do this if you wanted to exhaustively test, make one change, exhaustively test, right? So we're like, man, this is the real problem here. Like, there is no reliable way to test your voice agents after you build them.
Yeah. It's just so hectic. I mean, it's just so time consuming to do it, right? Like, you build the thing. And I think this is the first time it's happening because we are productionizing a probabilistic system. So with software, at least like you could manually write tests, but like how do you write tests for like AI? I think in general, like even if we talk about agents, not just
Yeah.
voice, but like generally, it's such a big unsolved problem today. So